everyone, and welcome back. Today we're diving into the world of entrepreneurship, but with a bit of a twist. We're going to explore how faith, specifically Christian faith, can be a powerful driving force for entrepreneurs looking to make a real difference.
You know what's really fascinating? It's entrepreneurs like Strive Mathieu who embodied this whole concept of the disruptive mindset entrepreneur. He doesn't just see business as a way to make money.
Right.
He sees it as this platform to really live out his faith and, create positive change in the world.
Yeah, before we jump into the story, can we unpack this idea of a disruptive mindset entrepreneur a little more? What makes it different from just, any other entrepreneur who happens to be a Christian?
That's a good question. I think the key really lies in that word disruptive. These entrepreneurs, they're not content with just fitting into the existing systems or, just following those traditional business models. They have this deeper purpose, a calling to kind of challenge the status quo and to create something truly innovative and impactful. And they do it all while being rooted in their Christian values.
So it's more than just running a successful business.
Yeah.
It's about using that business as a force for good, almost like a ministry in a way.
Exactly. And that's what makes Mathieu's story so inspiring. Imagine trying to launch a telecom company in Zimbabwe back in the 90s.
Oh, wow.
Talk about an uphill battle.
Yeah.
He faced intense opposition legal roadblocks that dragged on for years and even had to sell his house just to keep his dream alive.
5 years of legal battles. That's incredible.
It is.
It takes some serious resilience. Sounds like his faith played a key role in helping him persevere through all that.
Absolutely. His faith wasn't just like a side note, it was the foundation of his entire entrepreneurial journey. He's spoken before about how he felt a clear calling from God to pursue this venture, to bring connectivity and opportunity to a nation that really desperately needed it.
So it wasn't just about building a business for him. It was about fulfilling a God-given purpose.
Yeah.
A mission that went beyond, just profit margins. That must have fueled his determination.
Oh, absolutely. And that's the power of this idea of purpose over profit. When you're driven by that conviction that you know what you're doing is aligned with God's will, it fuels you in a way that nothing else can.
Yeah.
And that's one of the key characteristics of a disruptive mindset entrepreneur.
Did this focus on purpose eventually lead to success?
Absolutely. Econet Wireless became one of Africa's largest telecom companies. Think about the impact, transforming the lives of millions by providing access to communication, education, and healthcare. It became this catalyst for economic growth and, social development all across the continent.
That's incredible.
It is.
He was able to turn his vision into reality despite those massive obstacles. Speaks volumes about the power of faith-fueled resilience.
It really does. It's a testament to the fact that when we trust in God's plan and we lean on his strength, we can overcome what seem like insurmountable challenges. And it's something that any entrepreneur can draw inspiration from.
So we've got purpose over profit and faith as resilience. Any other key takeaways we can glean from Mathieu's story? What else makes him such a shining example of a disruptive mindset entrepreneur?
This is where it gets really interesting. Mathieu didn't just stop at building a successful business. He and his wife went on to establish the Higher Life Foundation, which provides scholarships and educational support to vulnerable children all across Africa.
So it wasn't enough to just achieve personal success.
Right.
He felt a responsibility to give back and use his platform to make a real difference in the lives of others.
Exactly. And that's another hallmark of this kind of entrepreneur, that deep commitment to generosity, using their resources to bless others. It's recognizing that true success isn't just about what you gain, but what you give. It's about stewardship.
Stewardship.
Yeah.
That's a great way to put it. Seeing our success as a gift from God and being responsible with how we use it. Mathieu's story isn't just a business success story. It's a story of faith in action, a testament to aligning your work with your Christian values.
Absolutely. And it's an invitation for all of us to think about how we can integrate our faith into our own entrepreneurial journeys. Because at the end of the day, it's not about disrupting industries or markets. It's about disrupting that status quo and using our God-given talents to create a world that reflects his love and grace.
That's beautifully said. So how do we move from inspiration to action? How can we as listeners start to cultivate this faith-driven, disruptive mindset in our own businesses? And what are some specific steps to actually integrating our Christian faith into our daily work?
Well, those are the questions we'll be exploring in the next part of our deep dive.
Can't wait. We'll be right back after a quick message.
Ready to elevate your business? Redafic's Business Blueprint has you covered. Whether you're a startup or aiming to scale up, Our program offers step-by-step guidance, expert strategies, mentorship, and networking opportunities. Don't miss out on gaining the tools and knowledge to drive your business success. Register now and join a community of forward-thinking leaders. Let's take your business to the next level together.
Welcome back to our deep dive into faith-fueled disruption. Before the break, we were talking about Strive Masiwa and how his faith really shapes his journey as an entrepreneur.
Yeah, and we touched on those 3 key takeaways. For anyone wanting to integrate faith into their business, prioritizing purpose over profit, faith as resilience, and making giving back a part of success.
Now let's get practical for a bit. We know faith is the foundation, but how do we actually build on that in a tangible way?
It's interesting. We talk about faith and purpose a lot, but I think so many entrepreneurs struggle to actually bridge that gap between, spiritual principles and like real world business decisions.
You're right. That's a tension I've definitely felt myself. It's easy to get lost in the day-to-day grind of running a business, right? Dealing with deadlines, managing finances, putting out fires.
Yeah, for sure.
And in those moments, we need to remember why we're doing this in the first place.
So how do we do that? How do we keep that why front and center? How do we bring our faith into those daily business decisions?
For me, it starts with recognizing that our businesses aren't separate from our faith. They're kind of like an extension of our ministry, a way to live out those Christian values right there in the marketplace.
Interesting way to look at it. So not compartmentalizing our faith, but seeing our work as a chance to glorify God and serve others.
Exactly. And when we do that, it changes everything.
Yeah.
It affects how we treat our employees, how we interact with customers, even how we approach making decisions. It becomes less about, just making money and more about making a positive impact.
I see how it all ties together, but I think the how-to is where people get stuck. What are some actual steps we can take to integrate faith into our businesses? I mean, we can't exactly have a prayer meeting during a board meeting.
Right, of course. It's not about forcing our beliefs on others.
Yeah.
It's about living them out genuinely, in a way that shows up in every part of our businesses. It starts with our own practices.
What kind of practices? Give us some examples.
Well, for me, it always starts with prayer. Before any major decision for the business, I pray and ask God for guidance. It's about surrendering those plans and agendas and asking for wisdom.
Okay, that makes sense for big decisions. But what about those everyday little decisions? Do you stop and pray every time you send an email or got to respond to a customer?
I wish I had the time for that. But I do try to keep that conversation with God going throughout the day. Bringing him into those smaller moments, asking for his perspective, trying to line up my actions with his will.
So like an ongoing dialogue with God,
Yeah.
inviting him into every part of your work.
Right. And it can be simple.
Okay.
Sometimes it's a quick, God, help me with this, Other times it's taking a few minutes to just breathe and refocus on what really matters.
I love that. Finding those little moments to reconnect with our faith and remember our why. Any other practical tips for creating that faith-infused work environment?
Definitely. I've found it helpful to bring scripture into my workspace. Got a few verses on my desk, to remind me of God's promises, keep me focused on my purpose.
Oh, I like that. Visual reminders throughout the day. What verses do you usually go for?
It depends on what's challenging me at the moment, or what I need to be reminded of. Sometimes it's about perseverance, like I can do all things through Christ who strengthens me.
Yeah.
Other times it's about serving others, like whatever you do, work at it with all your heart as working for the Lord, not for human masters.
Great examples. Simple but powerful way to bring that sense of the sacred into our workspaces.
And it's not just verses, right? You can have inspirational quotes, artwork. Anything that speaks to your soul reminds you of your faith.
This is sparking so many ideas. Okay, let's go a step further. Beyond our personal stuff and workspaces, how can we build a more faith-driven culture within our entire business?
Great question. Something I'm really passionate about. One thing I suggest is for leaders to create a faith mission statement for their company. It's basically spelling out what role your business plays in God's kingdom, how you're going to use your platform to have a positive impact on the world.
Faith mission statement. Never heard of that. What would that look like?
So imagine a company that makes sustainable clothing right. Their faith mission statement might be something like to create beautiful and ethically made clothing that honors God's creation and empowers women around the world.
I like that. Concise, inspiring, and it clearly shows their values and that commitment to faith-driven entrepreneurship.
Exactly. And once you have that faith mission statement, It can guide your decisions, shape your company culture, attract people who share your values, employees and customers alike.
That's really smart, weaving faith into the very DNA of the business, from personal practices to company culture.
And it's a journey, right? There's no magic formula or one size fits all. It's constantly seeking God's guidance, being open to new ideas, and letting our faith inform everything we do as entrepreneurs.
Okay, so we talked about prayer-inspiring workspaces, faith mission statements. Any other practical tips for our listeners?
One thing that's helped me a lot is finding a community of other entrepreneurs who share my values.
Yeah.
It's so important to have that support system, people who get the challenges and rewards of running a faith-based business.
I agree. Surrounding ourselves with people who can encourage us, hold us accountable, and inspire us to keep going. Where can entrepreneurs find those communities?
There are tons of great resources out there, online forums, local meetups, even business conferences specifically for Christian entrepreneurs. And don't underestimate your local church.
Oh, yeah. You might be surprised how many other entrepreneurs are right there in the pews with you.
Good point. We often forget to look for support and connection within our own communities.
Right. And finding that community can be a game changer. It's a place to share ideas, get advice, encourage each other along the way.
Okay, so we've covered a lot. Integrating faith into our businesses and some practical ways to do it. But before we move on, I want to circle back to something you mentioned about treating employees and customers differently.
Yeah, that's where it gets real.
Okay.
It's one thing to talk about faith-driven entrepreneurship.
Right.
It's another to actually live it out in how we interact with people.
So how does that look in practice? What
Yeah.
are some examples of treating our employees and customers in a way that reflects our Christian values?
When it comes to employees, it starts with basic respect, dignity, and fairness.
Mm-hmm.
Paying a living wage, offering opportunities for growth, creating an environment where they feel valued and appreciated. And it goes beyond just the basics, right? It's about that culture of care and compassion where they feel seen and heard.
Exactly. And when your employees feel cared for, they're more engaged, productive, and loyal. It benefits everyone.
Happy employees, happy business. What about customers? How do we demonstrate our faith there?
It's about going that extra mile, showing genuine concern for their needs, treating them with honesty and integrity, being transparent in our practices, offering excellent customer service, always putting their best interests first.
Building trust and those authentic relationships, even in a business setting.
And sometimes going above and beyond what's expected. Maybe it's offering a refund when you don't have to, or sending a handwritten thank you note to a loyal customer.
Yeah.
It's those little things that make a difference.
I see what you mean. It all comes back to treating others the way we want to be treated.
Right.
Which is, at the core of our faith. It's not about preaching at people or forcing our beliefs on them.
No.
It's about letting our actions speak louder than words, showing our faith through our character and how we conduct ourselves.
You got it. It's about being that light. Showing the world what it looks like to live out our faith in a real and impactful way. That's what sets those disruptive mindset entrepreneurs apart.
Loving this conversation. It's so inspiring to see how we can take these big spiritual principles and make them real, tangible actions that actually make a difference.
And it's a journey, not a destination. We're all learning and growing in our faith and our businesses. But when we integrate our faith into what we do as entrepreneurs, we tap into a whole other level of purpose, fulfillment, and impact.
It's been incredible exploring this idea of faith-fueled disruption with you. Thank you so much for sharing your wisdom and experience.
It's been my pleasure.
And for our listeners, we'll be right back after a quick message.
RedFE is here for the disruptors, the risk takers, the entrepreneurs who believe that real success isn't just profit, it's purpose. We're redefining business as an act of courage, integrity, and impact. Because RedFE believes that real leaders inspire generations to follow. Go beyond, inspire, impact. Together with RedFE. Are you ready to lead, to build a legacy that lasts? Visit www.redifix.com to start your journey with RedFE today.
Welcome back, everyone. We've been talking about what it means to be a disruptive mindset entrepreneur. Someone who brings their Christian faith into their business to make a real impact.
And we've seen such a great example in Strive Masioa, right? His story reminds us about putting purpose over profit, embracing faith when things get tough, and making giving back a natural part of success.
It's been amazing to hear how he's not just built a successful business, but also use it to really lift up communities and show his faith in action.
And you know what? His story isn't that unusual. There's this whole movement of Christian entrepreneurs out there doing incredible things. They're challenging the way things are done. proving that faith and business can go hand in hand to do good in the world.
Absolutely. That's what makes it so exciting. It's not just theory. It's about real people making a real difference driven by their faith.
Exactly. And they're leaving a legacy behind.
Oh, that's a good point.
It's not just about what we achieve while we're here, but the impact that continues even after we're gone, you know?
So how do we build that kind of legacy? How do we make sure our businesses aren't just successful, but also forces for good that keep making a difference?
It goes back to what we've been saying all along, aligning our work with our values, operating with integrity and compassion, using what we have to help others. Seeing our businesses as more than just moneymakers, but as ways to make an impact for God's kingdom.
Kingdom impact. I love that. What does that look like practically?
It's looking at our work through the lens of our faith, asking ourselves, how can my business help move God's plan forward in the world? How can I use what I have to bring positive change?
So it's bigger than just donating to charity or volunteering on the weekends.
Yeah, it's about weaving our faith into how our businesses actually run, making choices that line up with our Christian values, treating our employees and customers right, and using our influence to promote good things, justice and compassion.
It's about shifting our mindset from what can I get to what can I give.
Exactly. Real success isn't about our bank accounts or our status. It's about how many lives we touch and the difference we make in the world.
So as we wrap up, what's the one thing you want our listeners to take away? The most important advice for those who want to be disruptive mindset entrepreneurs.
Don't be afraid to dream big and let your faith be your compass. Believe that God has a special purpose for you and that He wants to use your business to do amazing things.
That's a powerful message. So often we let fear or doubt or pressure hold us back from chasing our real purpose.
But when we tap into our faith, we find this courage and determination that helps us overcome obstacles, challenge the way things are, and build businesses that are both successful and impactful.
It's been incredible exploring this idea of faith-fueled disruption with you. Thank you so much for sharing your insights and inspiring us to think differently about our work.
It's been my pleasure.
And to all our listeners out there, remember, you don't have to do this alone. There are communities, resources, and people ready to guide you on your journey as a disruptive mindset entrepreneur. So go out there, embrace your calling, and let your faith fuel your disruption. Thanks for joining us, everyone.